So tomorrow morning is that crazy moon thing going on. So I figured I'd do a video on how to take pictures of the moon, right? So behind me, you can see a big field, and there's a bunch of screaming kids over there by a school. And I don't know why they're by a school. It's kind of weird this time of day, night actually, because sunrise is about 20-30 minutes away. So the moon should rise right above those trees that you see behind me. And I'm gonna set up and show you what I do to get pictures of the moon. We'll see what we can catch tonight. But the first step is to find out where the lens you're gonna use is the sharpest, what f-stop, what aperture. So I'm gonna cut over to what I did earlier today to figure that out. We'll come back. So what I did was I went out to the backyard and I just focused on this, and I zoomed in 10 times with the live view to try and focus on this bolt. And I found out from the other night when I was trying to shoot pictures of the moon, my $30 tripod is just junk when it comes to being stable. And it showed here too. Even putting it on a 10-second delay for the shutter, I could still see it moving with the wind and just me standing on the deck with it. So, but I took pictures of this. I put an aperture priority. I tried it the first time in manual, but I didn't want to change my shutter speed. So obviously, the picture got darker and darker as I closed my aperture. So this time I put an aperture priority, and I think it's a pretty good test. So here we are at 5.6. And there's 6.3, and let's be honest, it's a junk lens. It's the EF 70-300 IS-USM. I don't want to call it a junk lens for the price. I mean, it's like $600 new. You can probably pick it up used for $400. I like the lens, but it's obvious from what I'm trying to do now that I would like something better. Obviously, these are grainy, as you can see the ISO. We started out with ISO 2000, and by f8 we're at 3200, still at 400, 1/400th of a second, and then you'll see that start to drop here. But here we are at f8, and then we jump to f9, and you can start to see this area right here. You start to see it get sharper. There we are at f10, and again at f11. So I think f9 to f11 is where the sweet spot is for this lens, and that was at 1/200th. So we had dropped, at f9 we had started dropping down to 320, 200th, and I think, once we get over here, it's just dropping off in clarity, probably because it was shaking so much. But from this quick non-professional, non-scientific test, I would say f9 to 11 is where this lens will be the sharpest at 300. The sharpest it can be for what it is. So, there we go. Alright, so I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but that moon is coming up right there in the center of this frame, right in between those trees, and it's big. So we're just getting set up. I just got it right next to the truck here because I don't want to feel like a weirdo with kids playing over there and stuff. The wind died down, so I didn't have to come up with some cheesy idea with a bungee cord and probably the jack to my truck. Oh, and the wind's picking up, trying to hold this down. But the moon is so big. Wow, maybe I will have to put something there. But I wanted to talk about what you can do in your settings here, okay? It's going to be hard trying to hold this. So there's a couple things I can do. Alright, so in the picture style, right now, I've got it set at that standard 1, okay? And I've got, I don't know if you could tell, but that sharpness is bumped all the way up, okay? Now, you can change that right here. At least this is where it is on my 60D. What's not focusing? Right. So just go into set, and normally I have it in neutral, which is right there, which is all zeroed out, right? But this user-defined one, I have that sharpness bumped all the way up. Now I'm going to try it. This is how I had it set up the other night. But since the moon is so big, I'm going to try it both ways tonight, using this with the sharpness bumped up in the camera, and then I'm going to try it doing neutral as well. Now let's go over some of the things you're gonna do when we take pictures, because I'm getting ready to start here, okay? Because I would like to get some behind that tree. So let's back out of this. Okay. So manual. What I shot the other night, I had it at about ISO 800, and my shutter speed was probably 400 if I remember right. And I don't even remember where my aperture was at. But let's go ahead and set our aperture where we wanted it. So we're going to start at f9, right? Actually, I think I want to start at f11. And we've got, I'm going to leave it at 800. I keep moving this. I'm going to leave it at 800. I'm going to leave the ISO at auto, and we'll see what happens with that. We'll see how high it bumps it up. But this isn't pro gear. This is just a 60D again with that standard lens. I mean, I call it a standard lens. But I'm going to show you that you need to be I turn the image stabilization off and manual focus. Now I might turn the image stabilization back on and we'll see the difference, but actually I want to get that picture right there right now. So I'm gonna do it. Maybe later I'll show you the manual focus and how hard it is. But for right now, I'm just gonna try and get a shot where it is right now. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, so I already snapped one shot and it was pretty good. About to grab another one here before it leaves those trees completely, but it should still go through them up there. Okay, so I'll show you what I do. Again, everything's in manual. So I'm going to zoom in, and you're going to see how much this tripod shakes as I zoom in. All right, that's why I have it on a 10-second timer. And I don't even try to adjust it. What I do is I just manhandle it because this tripod's so cheesy. I manhandle it to where I want it, and then I'm out, and you'll see how quickly you're in and out of focus, and it's really hard. But let it settle down, and you'll see the moon actually move across that frame. I have it on a 10-second timer. Again, look how much it's shaking just by touching it. So 10-second, not a 3-second timer. Wait for it to snap that pic. We'll see what we get. So if we hit the play button and zoom in, oh, I keep moving my camera. On my screen it looks pretty good. Recording it with this video, it doesn't look very good, because there we go. So you can see probably a pretty good picture. I'm shooting in RAW. So I'm just gonna snap away for a while and see what I can get. Oh, back to live view, my bad. Again, I'm gonna zoom in. I'm gonna manhandle it over to where I want it, because this tripod sucks. And we're gonna crop the crap out of these pictures anyway. I mean, even with this 300 and the moon being so big, we're still gonna end up cropping anyway. So, oh, looks like I'm focused on the tree, which is what I don't want. Oh, right there. This probably isn't the best instructional video ever. But again, that looks pretty good. So we'll come back to this probably when I'm at home in Lightroom showing you the pictures. And I'm gonna snap away. Peace. So I could have stayed there all night and shot pictures, but I figured I had taken enough, and by the end you'll see I think I got some really decent ones. I just wish I had had those settings here at the beginning where I could crop down by this tree. So you could see This first set, before this, you'll see two blank ones here, okay? This blank one is where I changed from where I had that sharpness set in camera, and then I went to neutral here, and then I switched back to the sharpness set in the camera. So here I had the ISO on auto, so it bumped it all the way up, F11, and I kept it at F11 the whole time. You'll see later they got pretty good. But this is at 1/800th. I really wanted to freeze it. And you can see the color. We're still just in the library. I haven't touched any of these. This is the color I got. And the moon was white tonight. So this is the color I got out of these. Now, obviously, geared up real bodybuilding, I lift weights. You can see that if I crop this, let's go to develop here. Welcome to my old Mac. It would be a decent picture regardless. Let's just do something like that. Especially being displayed on a computer, and I would mess, and I'd probably turn this black and white or something to change that color. But these are all at the 1/800th with auto ISO, and they're not very good, right? So here we switched to the standard, everything neutral here, and I was still shooting the same, right? But as you can see the color change over here, I decided to mess around. I was like, well, let me mess around. Let me manually do my ISO. Here's 800, and lowered it down to 1/400th of a second. And the color is definitely better. And here we go at 1/250th of a second, still at ISO 800. I think this is a decent photo. Again, if we were to crop this, it wouldn't be too bad. Not a bad picture. You zoom in on it, you're going to tell, I don't have the most expensive camera in the bunch, but for I think I paid $450 for that Canon 60D. It's doing pretty good. So there's a point where, here we go, where I drop down to ISO 400 at 1/200th, and I actually drop down even slower on my shutter speed. And these are actually, I like them. I think they're all right. There's 1/160th, back to 200, and I think they came out all right. Actually had some kids walk up and were wondering what I was doing, and they were asking if I was going to be out tomorrow morning for the blood moon, and I'd love to. We'll have to see what work says. But now I know that if it's a nice bright full moon like this, I can drop my ISO and my speed and still get a decent picture. You can watch the moon move as you saw, but still pretty good. Now the difference between, this is what I wanted to show you guys. So let's zoom in on both of these photos, because with this photo is where I was still in complete neutral, and this photo is where I switched back to that sharpness all the way up. And I want you to tell me if you can tell a difference, and I apologize for my slow computer, between these two photos. I really can't. So I'm not sure if it makes that much of a difference, especially when they're raw, and I'm going to mess with them in Lightroom. So I'm not sure if I'll show the final product in this video. I'll probably just put a link up to my Flickr. But that's it. That's what I do to get pictures of the moon. And maybe somebody has a better way. But this is what I have found works for me. And I found some better stuff works for me today. So that's a good thing. So get your cameras out. Blood moon tomorrow morning. I know this video is too late for most people watching that. But have a good time. Peace.